Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the RMTV Women's Podcast. This is episode 168. We have a few special guests on the podcast with us today. We have Philippa Smallwood and Andy Bell joining us. How are we all, guys? Have we all had a nice week? Have we all recovered? Have we all got to grips with the fact that Liverpool have lifted the trophy yet? Have you, Philippa? Have you come to terms with it?
I mean, I feel like it's just been kind of like one long party for about a month now. So,
Philippa, it's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I mean, it doesn't get much better than life for Liverpool fans at the moment, does it? So, the last week in particular, I think, has been particularly good for all of us. And, at the weekend, just seeing us lift the cup, I think, is what we've all been waiting for all season. And to finally see us do that was really, really good.
Yeah, and obviously, Andy, we were at the game on Sunday. I don't think you could really ask for a better final home game of the season, really, could you? A nice 6-1 win against Sheffield United.
No, you couldn't, and obviously the only slight disappointment was we had to a tiny bit rush off to go and get over to the men's game, but it was obviously brilliant that we could actually get to see both games, which is something we haven't had the luxury of doing this season, especially in the second half of the season. It's felt like quite a few of the games have been on at the same time. There've been some really good pieces on that and why that shouldn't be happening, but we got what we wanted that day. It was fair to say it was a big Sunday. It was my last Sunday before going back to work after 2 weeks off. So, the danger signs were everywhere. The Clipper was just there. 12 o'clock kickoff, 2 matches in one day, obviously 2 wins, seeing a trophy lift. And yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I really, really did. I think it was great to have. I was a little bit worried what the atmosphere would be like with the supporters on the sideline rather than behind the goal. Obviously, we've got our little setup there. We know, where the songs are coming from, who's leading the songs, and mainly Philippa in some cases. And it's a bit like when you go to Wembley and everyone's sort of spread out. You don't really know where things are starting. But I thought the atmosphere was great. Obviously it let everyone have a great view of the trophy lift itself, which was fantastic. I think you guys have got some stats about how many steps Fahey put in there. Put her own little swing on it, didn't she? So I'm sure we'll come on to talk about that. But no, fantastic day, fantastic performance as well. I mean, 6-1 against one of the teams that we thought maybe would be challenging us for the league at the start of the year. I remember a couple of people saying if you finish above Sheffield United, you'll win the league. And, to have beaten them, 8-1 over the 2 games just shows how emphatically Liverpool have been the best team in this division.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, Amy, like we said there, we touched on the crowd, 2,138 at the game on Sunday, which is a new record. That's kind of like the expectation for me now next season. Like, that many people can get to the game. Obviously, like Andy said there, depends on the men's fixtures and whatnot. But, to get that final game of the home game of the season before a derby at Anfield away, that is the expectation for Liverpool next season, especially going into the top flight, isn't it?
Yeah, you'd like to think so. I was thinking going into this game, oh God, there's going to be no one here. Just because, obviously, the kickoff being so tight. But I also remember when we played Watford at home, I can't remember when it was, halfway through the season, I thought the exact same thing. Like, I was turning up and I was thinking, oh God, there's going to be no one here. And I'm pretty sure the kickoff times clashed even more. Like, I think there was actually an overlap. And I was thinking no one's going to be here, but again I was like pleasantly surprised, and I think that's the first season that I've sort of felt that way, that the men's game's on, but we're still getting our women's team's fan base down, like, regardless. And I don't feel like we've actually had that before, so I think this season's shown that. And like the crowd itself on Sunday was great, although the only person I could hear was Andy making up songs throughout the game. It was great. I had a great time. My cheeks hurt from laughing. But no, it was great. And I don't know what you all feel, but I actually prefer it, like, with the fans on the tunnel side. I don't know what it is about it.
Yeah.
I just think, one, it looks better. I know it's not all about that, but it looks better when the game's being filmed because the camera's pointing towards the tunnel. You can see the fans. When you sometimes watch the FA player, and the fans are to the left, you can't ever really see them because they're like at the side. So I think it makes such difference with them being like in the middle and maybe just a little bit closer to the dugout, so the team can really, really hear the fans getting behind them, even like closer to where they're sitting. So I would love that to continue next season because I really enjoyed it. But yeah, you'd like to think that the attendance is just going to keep rising. I think because people always want to watch football when you're winning. And although obviously you're not going to be winning all the time, I think the fact that we've been so prolific this season, home and away, it's just invited more people to come down and watch and get involved and stay involved, not just come to one game, we lose and never come again because, shit, we lost. But no, okay, we've won and we're going to keep getting behind the team and listening to them and figuring out who all the different players are and just getting really involved. So yes, to answer your question, I would love for that to continue.
Just an interesting point you touched on there, Amy. We had a similar problem in with sort of low attendances in the Northern Irish Men's League over back where I was brought up, where basically they would show 5 games a year on Sky or the BBC, and they would show it at Windsor Park, 18,000 seater stadium with only 3,000 supporters in, and the supporters would all be behind it. And all everyone was saying when they were watching it, you were trying to get them involved and get them to sort of come down and watch the Irish League, was, well, nobody's there, we can't hear anything, you know. And a massive stadium and small amount of supporters, it's difficult to create an atmosphere, but they have actually done that. They've switched the cameras around and they've placed the supporters, so it sort of looks a lot better in that regard. And I think as well, going into next season as well, you know, everyone's coming down at the moment purely to support Liverpool. We're all diehard Liverpool supporters and diehard supporters of the Liverpool women's side. But next season, I suppose you'll get some people coming down to watch some big names from on the world stage. You know, you've got the likes of Arsenal and Chelsea. Some of the best teams in Europe will be playing at Prenton Park this season. You know, the names like, you know, Sam Kerr and Miedema. I think Miedema's maybe getting off at the end of the season, but names like that, people want to come down and watch the best players in the world that they've seen in like the Olympics and the World Cup and the European Championships. And I think that can only bode well as well, because that's what you need. And then people come down once or twice, get hooked on it, you know, and end up coming down every week. And that's essentially sort of what me as somebody who only started coming down this season, that was it for me. Just go down one day, see what it was like, and I loved it, and I've been down ever since. So you'll get more of that, I think, with bigger names coming to town too.
You can't get rid of him.
As much as I would love me to.
Only joking, Andy, we love you.
Even when you're staring at me dead in the eyes singing songs.
What was the Mel Lawley one? Let me reassure you. Or something.
No. Well, there were a few different versions. I think we settled on boom, 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 Mel Lawley's in the room. No need to reassure me because we've got Mel Lawley, which doesn't work in a Northern Irish accent, by the way, but it's a good thing everyone there's Scouse. So
it was amazing. To have him
so funny.
Straight in the eyes without blinking or anything was just something I'll never forget.
Yeah, Lauren was
so
over the
funny.
divide, so we were basically sort of making up a few chants and then just passing over to Lauren for her approval.
I'd like to emphasize
which wasn't forthcoming.
I'd like to emphasize the word "we" there. Unsure if it was a plural effort.
I don't know. I think you're more involved in some of the songs than you would like to admit.
Yeah, I'm gonna
really thoroughly enjoy it.
Yeah. But yeah, there was something you touched on there, Amy, what you're into when you were saying, you know, people like going to games when you're winning. It pulls in a bigger crowd, and I think, you know, we were fortunate enough to go to a lot of games during lockdown, and like when it wasn't going so well last season for us, and there was quite a few running games where it, you know, we were either losing or drawing quite a bit, and obviously there's no crowd in there's no atmosphere, and it was some of them could be quite dull. So to have like fans back this season's been amazing, but I think it's also the change in some of the players, and I don't know whether you'd agree, Philippa, but I think Mel Lawley this season has been like a different player than she has been probably in the 2 previous seasons for us. Obviously, player of the match on Sunday, she was absolutely phenomenal right until the last minute. And I think I've just been so impressed with like how she's really just performed amazingly in most games this season. I don't know whether she'd be a standout player for yourself as well.
Yeah, I would probably describe her as probably the most improved player this season, because I think, you know, she came to Liverpool probably with a little bit of a reputation of coming in as one of the stars, and she didn't really live up to that for me. And I think she's somebody who does need confidence to get the best out of her, and I think, you know, Matt's obviously shown a huge amount of belief in her to start from the start of the season. And she was a real driving force for us in the first half of the season. And then she just got a little bit of an injury, I think, and had to miss a couple of games and lost a little bit of momentum. But then towards the back end of the season, again, I think when Liverpool's, took the league by the scruff of the neck again was when Mel Lawler got back into the side and, really took the attack to other teams' defences. And I think she's just such a direct player for me. And it's very difficult for teams to handle, especially in the Championship. And I just hope, that she brings that in next season as well, that she carries on this good form that she's had and the confidence that she's shown, and takes that into the WSL. Obviously it helps when you're winning games, it helps all players to be confident, but I still think that there was times when Liverpool were maybe playing quite well last season and Mel was still struggling a little bit. And I think, this season she's just really come out of her shell for me in this side and been one of the driving forces as to what Liverpool have done.
Yeah, is there anyone in particular for you, Andy, who you'd kind of point out as well this season who think, they've been most improved or, they've just really been a standout player for us?
Yeah, I think it's actually quite difficult, and I think we'll come on to talk about it, but it actually bodes well for next season that there is no, you can have your opinion on who the best player of the season's been, but there's no absolute nailed on, standout one player who's been the best. And next season going into games where we might have to sit in tight a little bit more and scrap out certain periods of the game and suffer, you're going to need that sort of team spirit and everyone pulling along the same pulling along the same ropes or whatever. That's not a phrase, but you know what I'm saying. I think
What's that?
Pulling in the same direction. I think that's what I mean.
Pulling the same rope.
Pulling on the same rope.
Look, we're all pulling the same rope, all right? We're all Reds here. So no, I just lost my train of thought there. I think it's been very much a sort of collective effort. What I mean, and especially the three at the back is a good example of that, where there's no massive standout name there. Fahey's come in, done well. Matthews, Raza Roberts. There's Silcox come in and had a couple of good games, looked very impressive. Leanne Robe is probably different to the other three, but provides something in her own right. And there's no massive sort of standout name there, but it's worked very well this season. Look at the number of goals we conceded across the season. It's just phenomenal, and I think that goes into midfield where you've got Kerry Holland who's done a really good defensive job there, and while the other players kind of provided a little bit more attacking impetus. But I think when you look at it and you see that there's been no massive standout name, you look at the most consistent players across the season. I think it's hard to look past Rachel Laws for the best player. I mean, the number of games she's kept us in with a big save, and especially because we have been so dominant, it's easy to lose your concentration and concede silly goals in that respect. But at the start of the season, probably thought she'd have a little bit more of a fight on to have that number one jersey, but she's absolutely sort of come through and made some phenomenal saves. And in terms of outfield players, I'd say across the season, Kieran had a very good first half of the season, tailed off a little bit, but in terms of consistent player across the season in different positions as well, I think Taylor Hines has probably been my best player.
Yeah, I think Taylor Hines is one of those players that's kind of been not forgotten about, but I think because so many players have come into their own, especially second half of the season as well, you can't forget the consistency of Taylor Hines either, and she's so young as well. Obviously signed a new contract with us earlier on in the season, so you forget that. I think she just turned 22 or 23. She's so young. She's almost like one of your stars now, but then a star for the future as well, which is amazing to see. But just sort of looking ahead, obviously we have Lewis away on Sunday.
Dripping Pan. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, one of my favourite brown names ever.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, it is. It is a good name.
Let's hope
up with the Dripping Pan.
Let's hope we don't lose that game.
But
Oh.
How do you remove someone?
Yeah. But yeah, just looking ahead to that game, obviously final game of the season. It's one of them where it's do you go with a strong team, finish the final game on a high, or do you kind of see a few of the not fringe players, but the ones that you haven't seen a lot regularly this season kind of come into the starting 11 on Sunday and just sort of see what happens type of game?
Feel like... Well, go on.
Go on, Amy. I was just going to say, I think if it had been the other way around and the last game was going to be at home, I think he would go with pretty much the star players.
Yeah.
But I do expect him to make quite a lot of changes, and I think there'll be some players who may be getting their last run out for the club, and then there'll be others who are being given game time, like Johanna Silcock, who has been really impressive when she's played. Maybe Lucy Parry as well. Those sorts of players I think might get some minutes as well, because they've not really had the opportunity because of the task at hand, really, that trying to get that promotion. So yeah, sorry, Amy.
No, it's absolutely fine. I was literally probably just going to say the same thing. I feel like there's obviously maybe an element of element. What's that? Element. I was going to say.
I'm
I feel like
rubbing
I
off
saw
on
an
everyone here.
elephant. I saw an
We're all
elephant,
making up
like,
phrases
in
and
the
words.
sky. That was really weird.
Ourselves.
I was looking at the sky and I thought of an elephant instead of saying element.
I mean, that's weird in itself.
This is like, just pause for a second. This is like, has anyone seen that Twitter page Out of Context? Women's Football Podcasts or something? And every single week it's something that I say.
Yeah, last week was about Twix.
It's like I have a sentimental attachment to a Twix.
Yeah.
And then now it's going to be like, I just, whatever. Anyways, element. I feel like there's going to be an element, there we go, of Matt Bid probably testing and making his final decision on some of the players as to whether he's going to keep them on or what's the other word? I was going to say push them over, but that's not right. Or like let them go. But whether you
phrases are hard, Amy, aren't they?
I actually like
English is hard.
Idiomatic phrases are difficult.
Today's been rough, What was I saying? Yeah, an element of like testing. Obviously, you can't rely on like one game to determine whether a player should stay at Liverpool or go. But I feel like he's definitely going to give people another opportunity. I mean, some of the players he'll have already made his mind up as to whether he wants to keep them on in his plans for like next season and the couple of seasons after that. But for the ones that he's probably still on and about it, he'll start and he'll see how they perform, and you never know, it might just turn his idea on one of them, and then you're in a different sort of scenario. But I can't imagine you're going to be seeing our strongest 11 on the weekend, and it would be quite nice to see some younger players get some game time, see what they're made of, because as Philippa said, we've not really seen much of the season because of like the stress of all the games and wanting to like seal the league as early as possible. But I think it'll be a good opportunity for some of them for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I think like you've touched on it there, obviously him sort of seeing what different players are like, and he's probably already kind of got a plan in place of who he wants to keep and maybe who's gonna go, and you obviously don't know players' personal reasons either, but I think it's kind of one of them now where I feel like the planning starts immediately for next season because of how important it is, and how much like the WSL has changed since we've left it as well. I don't know about you, Philippa, but it's kind of, I feel like Matt Beard's kind of not going to have a break this summer. I think he's just going to literally go from Lewis away on Monday morning. He's going to be ready to just plan ahead for next season, really, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he will have a bit of a break, to be honest, but I think he'll have been, or the club, will have been planning what they're going to be doing, depending on what the two scenarios were, if they were staying in the Championship or if they were promoted. And I think they would have got a clear plan, especially after Russ has come in. I know that there's already been some talks with potential players, but whether or not, obviously things change depending on, who he decides to keep, is another thing. So it's going to be a very interesting summer, I would say. I don't expect him to make too many changes. I think, the nucleus of this squad, have got this togetherness that you don't really want to kind of disturb too much. And I think that's come across this season. I think that's part of the reason why we've kind of walked the league in a way. It's because all the players are singing from the same hymn sheet, and all the staff are as well. So
I love that phrase.
Yeah, it's a way. That's exactly what I meant to say, by the way, when I said pulling on the same rope.
So yeah, I think he won't want to disturb that. too much, and he'll want to add a bit of quality, I would say. Players that he feels, can really add, what we need in the squad, whatever he decides that is. But yeah, I think I don't expect too many changes, maybe 4 or 5 at the most. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm excited.
Yeah, I think we're all excited. I kind of agree with that. I wouldn't like it to be too many changes either, because like you said, the squad is just so great as it is. The harmony of the whole team is just amazing. So I think to kind of, if you disrupt that quite a lot, it's probably going to be a more difficult season than you want it to be. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. But yeah, I think that's a good note to end on, really.
I feel like we need to talk about Neve's steps.
Oh, go on. What have you got? Have you got stats?
Let me get the graphic.
Go on, get the graphic.
Just while Amy's getting that up as well, and a little interesting thing to keep an eye on this weekend. Leanne Kiernan's 4 goals off Abby Harrison for the top scorer. So could we see her on all the set pieces, all any penalties we get?
Every
quick fire 2 in the first half, and that's on.
Like having a shot from the kick-off, things like that. Yeah.
Just anywhere she gets the ball, she just shoots.
I think so.
I'm absolutely okay with that.
Yeah, same. Just have fun.
So I would like to inform the community and anyone watching of some data that was published by Anfield Analytics, who have been fair play, have been absolutely fantastic this half of the season in providing I don't feel like you get data anywhere. So to have a platform that's doing it, absolutely hats off to you, and Andy. Bloody hell. So they've given loads of stats over the last few weeks. The Meg Campbell one was the one that we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, as to the success of Meg Campbell's throw-ins.
I owe some chocolate buttons for that still. Oh no, we got them on Sunday.
I got them on Sunday. I mean, I didn't know they were for me. I just opened them, but made me feel slightly better.
Anyways, so they've published a nice little fun graphic, which is number of steps taken per Hendo shuffle by trophy. And Niamh Fahey, when she did her nice little shuffle, it lasted a long time, to be fair. It was great. She did a total of 28 shuffle steps to lift the Women's Championship trophy. And in a close second behind is Jordan Henderson lifting the 21 at 22 Carabao Cup. And anyone want to have a guess at what the third one was? Hands up. I'm kidding.
It's between the Champions League and the Premier League then?
Well, there's 4 others.
Oh, well, I suppose there's the Super Cup.
I reckon it's the Champions League.
Okay, anyone else?
I'll go Premier League just to be different.
Okay, how many steps do you think it is? Actually, no, I'll tell you first off. It's the Champions League, 2018-19. How many steps do you reckon?
17.
What was Neve's?
28. So who's got? So Philippa, you've gone 17.
No, Philippa went 18. I went the other way around.
All right, Lauren.
21.
Oh, it's all very close. It was 20.
Oh
no.
Anyway, Niamh should get a trophy for doing the most Hendo shuffle steps and do Hendo shuffle steps while lifting that trophy.
I would like to think that Niamh breaking his record would push Jordan and the boys on to a historic quadruple this season. I think that's just the incentive they need.
Yeah,
I agree
as well. He'll do it in a few weeks at the FA Cup. It's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good note to end on, guys. Thank you very much for joining us both. That was really fun. We'll have to get more guests on next season, Amy. We just forget. And then we just go,
gets to Thursday and we're like, oh my God, we need to film.
Tonight. And like, yeah. So it's always too late to ask anyone. But yeah, thank you very much for joining, guys. Yeah, obviously Lewis away on Sunday. We'll keep you updated as much as we can. Unfortunately, we're not going. Are you going, Philippa?
I am, yeah. I'm going on the coach. I'm taking Big Steve.
Go on, get Stephen.
Yeah, that's dedication, to be fair. We were all like, oh, it's a bit far, isn't it? Bank holiday, we'll just go out instead. That's what
basically in the sea, isn't it? Yeah.
6 o'clock in the morning, coach.
Oh my God. Is it on the FA Player? I feel like, do they not put all of the last games of the season on the Player, or is that me making it up?
I honestly do not know, but
we can check.
Yeah,
we'll find out. You can live stream it for us if not, Philippa.
Yeah, we'll just
no problem.
Fantastic.
There
may be a rights issue there.
Yeah. Well, no. If she does it privately, if she does it publicly, then maybe there's an issue. But if it's just
yeah, that's very true.
So if anyone wants to watch the game, just join our WhatsApp channel.
Send a link.
Link in the description below.
But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Remember to like the video, comment, subscribe to the channel, and we will see you all on Sunday with some post-match reaction or whatever we can get out to you. But yeah, thank you for watching, and we'll see you all soon. Bye.
Bye.